we're gonna start reading Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Hammer of Thor.
Yeah, book 2.
Yeah.
Book 2.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right. Let's kick it
To-
off.
To J.R.R. Tolkien, who opened up the world of Norse mythology for me. So he dedicated the book to J.R.R. Tolkien.
Who is the author? Anybody of what famous?
Lord of the Rings,
Yep. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. Pretty
The
cool.
Hobbit.
Nice.
I didn't know that.
Chapter 1. Could you please stop killing my goat? Lesson learned. If you take a Valkyrie out for coffee, you'll get stuck with a check in a dead body. I hadn't seen Samara Alabast in almost 6 weeks. So when she called out of the blue and said we needed to talk about a matter of life and death, I agreed right away. Technically, I'm already dead, which means the whole life and death thing didn't apply. But still, Sam sounded anxious. She hadn't yet arrived when I got to the Thinking Cup on Newberry Street. The place was packed as usual, so I queued up for coffee. A few seconds later, Sam flew in literally right over the heads of the cafe patrons. Nobody batted an eye. Regular mortals aren't good at processing magical stuff, which is fortunate because otherwise Bostonians would spend most of their time running around in a panic from giants, trolls, ogres, and Enharjar with battle axes and lattes. Battle axes and lattes.
Latte?
L-A-T-T-E-S.
Yeah, it's a latte, like from the cafe.
Latte. Sam landed next to me in her school uniform, white sneakers, khaki slacks, and a long-sleeved navy shirt with the King Academy logo. A green hijab covered her hair. An axe hung over her belt. I was pretty sure the axe wasn't standard dress code. As glad as I was to see her, I noted that the skin under her eyes was darker than usual. She was swaying on her feet. "Hey," I said, "you look terrible." "Nice to see you too, Magnus." "No, I mean, not terrible, like different than normal terrible. Just terrible, like exhausted. Should I get you a shovel so you can dig that hole a little deeper?" I raised my hands in surrender. "Where have you been the last month and a half?" Her shoulders tightened. "My workload this semester has been killing me. I'm tutoring kids after school. Then, as you might remember, there's my part-time job reaping souls of the dead and running top secret missions for Odin. You kids today and your busy schedules. On top of all that, there's flight school. Flight school? We shuffled forward with the line, like airplanes. I knew Sam's goal was to become a professional pilot someday, but I hadn't realized she was already taking lessons. You can do that at 16? Her eyes sparkled with excitement. My grandparents could never have afforded it, but the Badlands have this friend who runs a flight school. They finally convinced Jid and Bibi. Ah, I grinned. So the lessons were a gift from Amir. Sam blushed. She's the only teenager I know who has the trough, and it's cute how flustered she gets when she talks about Amir Fadlan. Those lessons were the most thoughtful, the most considerate. She sighed wistfully. But enough of that. I don't bring you here to talk about my schedule. We have an informant to meet. Informant to meet. An informant, this could be the break I've been waiting for. If his information is good, Sam's phone buzzed. She fished it out of her pocket, checked the screen, and cursed. I have to go. You just got here. Valkyrie business. Possible code 381. Heroic death in progress. You're making that up. I'm not. So what? Somebody thinks they're about to die and they text you going down. Need Valkyrie ASAP. Followed by a bunch of sad face emojis. I seem to recall taking your soul to Valhalla. You didn't text me. No, but I'm special. Just get a table outside, she said. Meet my informant. I'll be back as soon as I can. I don't even know what the informant looks like. You'll recognize him when you see him. Sam promised, be brave. Also, get me a scone. She flew out of the shop like super Muslim, leaving me to pay for our order. I got 2 large coffees and 2 scones and found a table outside. Spring had arrived early in Boston. Patches of dirty snow still clung to the curbs like dental plaque, but the cherry trees popped with white and red buds. Flowery pastel clothing. Clothing displays bloomed in the windows of high-end boutiques. Tourists strolled by enjoying the sunrise. Sitting outside, comfortable in my freshly laundered jeans, t-shirt, and a denim jacket, I realized this would be the first spring in 3 years that I had been homeless. Last March, I had been scrounging from dumpsters. I'd been sleeping under a bridge in the public garden, hanging out with my buddies Parth and Bliss, avoiding the cops and just trying to stay alive. And 2 months ago, I died fighting a fire giant. I'd woken up in the Hotel Valhalla as one of Odin's and Harji warriors. Now I had clean clothes. I took a shower every day. I slept in a comfortable bed every night. I could sit at the cafe table, eating food I'd actually paid for, and not worry about when the staff would force me to move along. Since my rebirth, I'd gotten used to a lot of weird stuff. I traveled the 9 worlds, meeting Norse gods, elves, dwarves, and a bunch of monsters with names I couldn't pronounce. I'd scored a magical sword that presently hung around my neck in the form of a runestone pendant. I'd even had a mind-melting conversation with my cousin Annabeth about the Greek gods, who hung out in New York and made her life difficult. Apparently, North America was lousy with ancient gods. We had a full-blown infestation. All of that I'd learned to accept, but being back in Boston on a nice spring day, hanging out like a regular mortal kid, that felt strange. I scanned the crowd for pedestrians, looking for Sam's informant. You'll recognize him when you see him, she'd promised. I wondered what kind of information this guy had, and why Sam considered it life and death. My gaze fixed on a storefront at the end of the block. Over the doorway, the brass and silver signs still gleamed proudly. Blitzen's best. But the shop was shuttered. The front door windows was papered over on the inside with a message hastily scrawled in red marker, closed for remodeling, back soon. I'd been hoping to ask Samara about that. I had no idea why my old friend Blitz had abruptly disappeared. One day, a few weeks ago, I just walked by the shop and found it closed. Since then, there'd been no word from Blitzen in Hearthstone, which wasn't like them. Thinking about this made me so preoccupied I almost didn't see our informant until he was right on top of me. But Sam was correct. He kind of stood out. It's not every day you see a goat in a trench coat. A pork pipe hat was wedged between his curly horns. A pair of sunglasses perched on his nose. His trench coat kept getting tangled in the back hooves. Despite his clever disguise, I recognized him. I'd killed and eaten this particular goat on another world, which is the sort of bonding experience you don't forget. Otis, I said. Shh, he said. I'm incognito. Call me Otis. I'm not sure that's how incognito works, but okay. Otis, aka Otis, climbed into the chair I'd reserved for Sam. He sat on his back haunches and put his front hooves on the table. Where is the Valkyrie? Is she incognito too? He peered at the nearest pastry bag as if Sam might be hiding inside it. Inside. Samara had to go reap a soul, I said. She'll be back soon. It must be nice having a purpose in life, Otis sighed. Well, thank you for the food. That's not for Otis snapped up Sam's gum bag and began to eat it. Paper and all. Did you draw that?
No, I found it online, dude.
I think you do that too, John.
It's a perfect representation of Otis in his incognito costume.
Oh my god, that's funny. Paper and all. At the table next to us, the older couple glanced at my goat friend and smiled. Maybe their mortal senses perceived him as a cute child or a funny pet dog. So I had a hard time watching Otis devour the pastry, spraying crumbs across the lapels of his trench coat. You had something to tell us. Otis belched. It's about my master, Thor. Otis flinched. Yes, him. If I worked for the Thunder God, I too would have flinched when I heard Thor's name. Otis and his brother Marvin pulled the god's chariot. They also provided Thor with a never-ending supply of goat meat. Each night, Thor killed and ate them for dinner. Each morning, Thor resurrected them. This is why you should go to college, kids. So when you grow up, you do not have to take a job as a magical goat. I finally have a lead, Otis said, on that certain object my master is missing. You mean the ham? Don't say it out loud, Otis warned. But yes, his ham. I flashed back to January when I first met the Thunder God. Good times around the campfire listening to Thor fart. Talk about his favorite TV shows, fart. Complain about his missing hammer, which he used to kill giants and stream his favorite TV shows, and fart. Is still missing, I asked. It's still missing? I asked. Otis clacked his front hooves on the tabletop. Well, not officially. Of course, if the giants knew for certain that Thor was without his you-know-what, they would invade the mortal worlds, destroy everything, and send me into a very deep funk. But unofficially, yes. We've been searching for months with no luck. Thor's enemies are getting bolder. They sense weakness. I told my therapist reminds me of when I was a kid in the goat pen and the bullies were sizing me up. Otis got a faraway look in his yellow lit pupil eyes. I think that's when my traumatic stress started. This was my cue. Just feed the next several hours talking to Otis about the feelings. Spend. This was my cue to spend the next several hours talking to Otis about his feelings. Being a terrible person, I just said, I feel your pain, and moved on. Otis, I said, the last time we saw you, we found Thor, a nice iron staff to use as a backup weapon. He's not exactly defenseless. No, but the staff is not as good as the ham. It doesn't inspire the same fear in the giants. Also, Thor gets cranky trying to watch his shows on the staff. The screen is tiny and the resolution is terrible. I don't like it when Thor is cranky. It makes it hard for me to find my happy place. A lot about this did not make sense. Why Thor would have so much trouble locating his own hammer. How he could possibly have kept its loss a secret from the giants for so long. And the idea that Otis, the goat, would have a happy space. So Thor wants our help, I guess, not officially. Of course not. We'll all have to wear trench coats and glasses. That's an excellent idea, Otis said. Anyway, so Thor wants our help, I guess. Not officially. Of course not. We'll all have to wear trench coats and glasses. That's an excellent idea, Otis said. Anyway, I told the Valkyrie I would keep her updated since she is in charge. She is in charge of Odin's, special mission. This is the first good lead I've gotten to the location of the certain object. My source is reliable. Here's another goat who goes to the same psychiatrist. He overheard some talk in his barnyard. You want us to track down a lead based on barnyard gossip you heard in your psychiatrist's waiting room? That would be great. Otis leaned so far forward I was afraid he might fall out of his chair. But you're going to have to be careful. It took all my effort not to laugh. I'd played catch the lava ball with fire giants. I'd eagle skied over the rooftops of Boston. I'd pulled the world serpent out of Massachusetts Bay and defeated Fenris Wolf with a ball of yarn. Now this goat was telling me to be careful. So where is this ham? I asked. Jotunheim, Niflheim, Thorfartheim. You're teasing. Otis's sunglasses slipped sideways on his snout, but the ham is in a different dangerous location. It's in Provincetown. Provincetown? I repeated, on the tip of Cape Cod. I had vague memories of the place. My mom had taken me there for a weekend one summer when I was about 8. I remembered beaches, saltwater, taffy, lobster rolls, and a bunch of art galleries. The most dangerous thing we'd encountered was a seagull with irritable bowel syndrome. Otis lowered his voice. There's a barrow in Provincetown. A wits barrow. Is that like a wheelbarrow? Wheelbarrow? No, a wit. Otis shuddered. Well, a wit is a powerful undead creature that likes to collect magical weapons. A witch's tomb is called a burrow. Sorry, I have a hard time talking about wits. They remind me of my father. That raised another batch of questions about Otis's childhood, but I decided to leave them for his therapist. Are there a lot of layers of undead Vikings in Provincetown? I asked. Only one, as far as I know, but that's enough if the certain object is there. It will be difficult to retrieve underground and guarded by powerful magic. You'll need your friends, the dwarf and the elf. That would have been great if I had any idea where those friends were. I hope Sam knew more than I did. Why doesn't Thor go and check this burrow himself? I asked. Wait, let me guess. He doesn't want to draw attention, or he wants us to have a chance to be heroes. Or it's hard work and he has some shows to catch up on. To be fair, Otis said, the new season of Jessica Jones did just start streaming. It's not the goat's fault, I told myself. He does not deserve to be punched. Fine, I said. When Sam gets here, we'll talk strategy. I'm not sure I should wait with you. Otis licked a crumb off his lapel. I should have mentioned this earlier, but you see, someone or something has been stalking me. The hairs on my neck tingled. You think they followed you here? I'm not sure, Otis said. Hopefully my disguise threw them off. Oh, great, I thought. I scanned the street, but saw no obvious lurkers. Did you get a good look at this someone or something? No, Otis admitted. But Thor has all sorts of enemies who would want to stop us from getting his ham back. They would not want me sharing information with you, especially this last part. You have to warn Samara that thunk. Uh-oh. Living in Valhalla, I was used to deadly weapons flying out of nowhere, but I was still surprised when an axe sprouted from Otis's furry chest. I lunged across the table to help him. As the son of Frey, god of fertility, and health, I can do some pretty awesome first aid magic given enough time. But as soon as I touched Otis, I sensed that it was too late. The axe had pierced his heart. Oh dear, Otis coughed blood. I'll just die now. His head lolled backward, his pork pie hat rolled across the pavement. The lady sitting behind us screamed as if just now noticing that Otis was not a cute puppy dog. He was, in fact, a dead goat. When I scanned the rooftops across the street, judging from the angle of the axe, it must have been thrown from somewhere up there. Yes, I caught a flicker of movement. Just as the attacker ducked out of sight, a figure in black wearing some sort of metal helmet. So much for a leisurely cup of coffee. I yanked the magical pendant from my neck chain and raced after the goat assassin.
Wow.
Wow.
Chapter 2. Your standard rooftop chase scene with talking swords and ninjas. I should introduce my sword. Jack. These are the peeps. Peeps, this is Jack. His real name is Summerbrander, the sword of summer, but Jack prefers Jack because reasons. When Jack feels like snoozing, which is most of the time, he hangs out on a chain around my neck in the form of a pendant marked with Freya, the rune of Frey. So it's so if you look on what I posted the pages of the rune markings. Did you see those all?
Yeah.
So it's that line with like what looks like an F. So Sarah M is still on the call.
Is anyone there?
I'm here.
Okay. So I posted a book. I posted a couple pages of the rune stone of the markings.
Yep.
Runes
Cool.
in order of mention. So it looks like yeah, there you go. So it looks like the Freya is the rune of Frey. So it looks like a line and it's two lines looks like an F.
A vertical line with two kind of slanted lines going off the top for Fehu, Fehu. And then
Rune.
Othala, inheritance. Kind
Yeah,
of
but
looks like,
you don't need to worry about those ones yet.
yeah.
You just need to
Sorry.
worry about the Frey.
Sorry guys, I got kicked from the call, so
Did
hope I didn't
you?
miss that. Yeah, I
Did
just signed back on. Mary's the host at the moment,
Oh.
so I can't share any photos right now until I get.
Hang on. I'm getting you hooked back up. I
Thank
figured I'd
God.
jump because you weren't jumping.
Yeah, thank God she was on though, because yeah,
Wait, did you lose power?
no, it's bizarre. I was just
Oh.
searching for images to keep putting up for you guys, and it dropped
Yeah.
me.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh.
All right.
What
When
I
I
missed?
need
Did everybody die?
No,
Not yet.
no. There was
Okay.
just what we left off with.
All right, cool.
When I need his help, he runs into a sword and kills things. Sometimes he does this while I wield him. Other times he does this while flying around on his own and singing annoying pop songs. He is magical that way. As I bounded across Newberry Street, Jack sprang to full form in my hand. His blade, 30 inches of double-edged bone-forged steel, was emblazoned with runes that pulsed in different colors when Jack talked. "What's going on?" he asked. "Who are we killing?" Jack claims he doesn't pay attention to my conversations when he is in pendant form. He says he usually has his headphones on. I don't believe him. I don't believe this because Jack doesn't have headphones or ears. "Chasing assassin," I blurted out. "Dodging a taxi. Killed goat." "Right," Jack said. Same old then." I leaped up the side of the person publishing here Pearson person.
I guess he meant person. I think it's the book it has an error.
Yeah.
In
So to the person publishing building, I'd spent the last 2 months learning to use my Enharji powers. So one jump took me to the ledge 3 stories above the main entrance, no problem, even with a sword in one hand. Then I hop climbed from window ledge to cornice up the white marble facade, channeling my inner Hulk until I reached the top. On the far side of the roof, a dark bipedal shape was just disappearing behind a row of chimneys. The goat killer looked humanoid, which ruled out goat on goat homicide. But I had seen enough of the 9 worlds to know that humanoid didn't mean human. He
Hmm.
could be an elf, or a dwarf, a small giant, or even an axe murderer god. Please, not an axe murderer god. By the time I reached the chimneys, my quarry had jumped to the roof to the next building. That might not sound impressive, but the next building was a brownstone mansion about 50 feet away across a small parking lot. The goat
Whoa.
killer didn't even have the decency to break his ankles on impact. He somersaulted on the tar and came up running. Then he leaped back across Newberry Street and landed on the steeple of the Church of the Covenant. I hate this guy, I said. How do we know it's a guy? Jack asked. The sword had a point. Sorry, I keep stumbling into that pun. The goat killer's loose black clothes and metal war helmet made it impossible to guess his or her gender. But I decided to keep thinking of him as male for now. Not sure why. I guess I found the idea of a bro goat assassin more annoying. I backed up, took a running start, and leaped toward the church. I'd love to tell you I landed on the steeple, slapped some handcuffs on the killer, and announced you're going away for livestock murder. And said, well, the Church of the Covenant has these beautiful stained glass windows made by Tiffany in the 1890s. On the left side of the sanctuary, one window has a big crack at the top. My bad. Huh?
I was like,
What'd
oh
you say,
god,
John?
he's gonna crash through the stained glass window.
Tiffany in the 1890s on the left side of the sanctuary. One window has a big crack at the top. My bad. I hit the church's slanted roof and slid back, grabbed the gutter with my right hand. Spikes of pain shot out my fingernails. I dangled from the ledge, my legs flailing, kicking the beautiful stained glass window right into the baby Jesus.
Oh boy,
On the bright side,
he's going to
swinging-
hell.
Yeah, on the well, he's already in he's already in Valhalla. On the bright side, swinging precariously from the roof saved my life. Just as I twisted, an axe hurtled from above, slicing the buttons off my denim jacket. A centimeter closer, and it would have opened up my chest. Hey, I yelled. I tend to complain when people try to kill me. Sure, in Valhalla, we in Harjar are constantly killing each other, and we get resurrected in time for dinner. But outside Valhalla, I was very much killable. If I died in Boston, I would not be getting a cosmic do-over. The goat assassin peered down at me from the peak of the roof. Thank the gods he appeared to be out of throwing axes. Unfortunately, he still had a sword at his side. His leggings and tunic were stitched from black fur. Stitched from black fur. A suit smeared chain mail coat hung loosely on his chest. His black iron helmet had a chainmail curtain around the base. What we in the Viking business call an aventail, completely covering his neck and throat. His features were obscured by a faceplate fashioned to resemble a snarling wolf. Of course, a wolf. Everybody in the 9 worlds loves wolves. They have wolf shields, wolf helmets, wolf screen savers, wolf pajamas, and wolf themed birthday parties. That's a lot of wolves.
There's a lot of wolves.
Me, not so much loving the wolves. Take a hint. Magnus Chase, the assassin's voice warbled, modulating from soprano to baritone, as if going through a special effect machine. Stay away from Provincetown. The fingers of my left hand tightened on the hilt of my sword. Jack, do your thing. You sure about that? Jack asked. The assassin hissed for some reason. People are often shocked when they find out my sword can talk. I mean, Jack continued, I know this guy killed Otis, but everybody kills Otis. Getting killed is part of Otis's job description. Just chop off his head or something, I yelled. The assassin, not being an idiot, turned and fled. Get him, I told Jack. Why do I have to do all the hard work? Jack complained. Because I'm dangling here and you can't be killed. Just because you're right doesn't make this cool. I flung him overhead. Jack spiraled out of view, flying over the goat killer while singing in his own version of Shake It Off. I have never been able to convince him that the line isn't cheese graters gonna grate. Even with my left hand free, it took me a few seconds to haul myself up to the roof. Somewhere to the north, the clanging of blades echoed off brick buildings. I raced in that direction. Leaping over the church's turrets, launching myself across Berkeley Street, I bounced from rooftop to rooftop until I heard Jack yell in the distance, Ow! Most people might not run into battle to check on the welfare of their sword, but that's what I did. At the corner of Boylston, I scrambled up the side of the parking garage, got to the roof level, and found Jack fighting for his, well, maybe not his life, but at least his dignity. Jack often bragged that he was the sharpest blade in the 9 worlds. He could cut through anything and fight a dozen enemies at once. I tended to believe him, since I'd personally seen him take out giants the size of skyscrapers. Yet the goat killer was having no trouble forcing him back across the roof. The assassin might have been small, but he was strong and quick. His dark iron sword sparked against Jack every time the two blades connected. Jack yelped, Ow, ow. I didn't know if Jack was in real danger, but I had to help since I didn't have another weapon and I didn't feel like fighting empty-handed. I ran to the nearest lamppost and ripped it out of the cement. That sounds like I was showing off. Honestly, I wasn't. The pole was just the handiest weapon-like object I couldn't find except for a parked Lexus until I wasn't quite strong enough to wield a luxury automobile. I charged the goat killer with my 20-foot-long jousting light fixture. That got his attention. As he turned toward me, Jack lashed out, opening a deep cut in the assassin's thigh. The goat killer grunted and stumbled. That was my chance. I could have taken him down. Instead, while I was 10 feet away, a distant howl cut through the air and froze me in my tracks. Geez, Magnus, you're thinking. It was only a distant howl. What's the big deal? I may have mentioned I don't like wolves. When I was 14, 2 of them with glowing blue eyes killed my mother. My recent encounter with Fenris hadn't done anything to increase my appreciation for the species. This particular howl was definitely not that of a wolf. It came from somewhere across the Boston Common, reverberating off the high rises, turning my blood to freon. It was exactly the same sound I'd heard the night of my mother's death. Hungry and triumphant, the baying of a monster that had found its prey. The lamppost slipped from my grip, clanging against the asphalt. Jack floated to my side. Senor? Are we still fighting this guy or what? The assassin staggered backward. The black fur of his leggings glistened with blood. And so it begins. His voice sounded even more garbled. Beware, Manus. If you go to Provincetown, you will play into your enemy's hands. I stared at the snarling face mask. I felt like I was 14 again, alone in the alley behind my apartment the night my mother died. I remember gazing up at the fire escape from which I had just dropped, hearing the wolves howl from our living room. Then flames exploded from the windows. Who are you? I managed. The assassin let out a grunted laugh. Wrong question. The right question. Are you prepared to lose your friends? If not, you should leave. Thor's hammer lost. He backed to the edge of the roof and toppled over. I ran to the ledge just as a flock of pigeons surged upward, rising in a blue-gray cloud, swirling away from the back bay's forest of chimneys. Down below, no movement, no body, no sign of the assassin. Jack hovered next to me. I could have taken him. You just caught me unprepared. I didn't have time to do my stretches. Swords don't stretch, I said. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Expert on proper warm-up techniques. A tuft of pigeons down helicoptered to the ledge and stuck to a smear of the assassin's blood. I picked up the tiny feather and watched red liquid soak into it. So what now? Jack asked. And what was that wolf howl? Ice water trickled down my S-chain tubes. S-chain? EUSTACHIAN?
Eustachian?
Yeah, Eustachian. There's chain in it. So it's EUSTACHIAN.
I don't know. I think it's like a tube in your throat or something.
This chain tube, leaving a cold, bitter taste in my mouth. Yeah, I think it's the tubes. I think it's the vocal cord.
What was
Maybe.
it, Dennis?
EUSTACHIAN.
Eustachian. So your Eustachian tube. Hang on.
Okay.
Spit it out. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Sage was choking.
Choking?
I thought I heard choking. I was like, oh my
I
So-
god.
thought so too.
Yep. Yep. So Eustachian
alright?
tubes. Yep, she's good.
What was it?
Peapod.
It was in her eustachian tube.
It was not. Your eustachian tube is where the fluid drains from your ears down your throat,
Okay.
basically.
Leaving a cold, bitter taste in my mouth. I don't know, I said. Whatever it was, it stopped now. Should we go check it out? No, I mean, by the time we figured out where the sound came from, we'd be too late to do anything about it. Besides, I studied the bloody pigeon feather. I wondered how the goat killer had disappeared so effectively, and what he knew about Thor's missing hammer. His distorted voice reverberating in my mind. Are you prepared to lose your friend? Something about the assassin had seemed very wrong, yet very familiar. We have to get back to Sam. I grabbed Jack's hilt and exhaustion washed over me. The downside of having a sword who fights on his own, whatever Jack did, I paid the price as soon as he returned to my hand. I felt bruises spreading across my arms, one for each time Jack had been struck by the other sword.
Oh,
My legs trembled like they had been doing lunges all morning. A lump of emotion formed in my throat. Jack's shame for letting the goat killer fight him to a standstill. Hey man, I told him, at least you cut him. That's more than I did. Yeah, well, Jack sounded embarrassed. I knew he didn't like sharing the bad stuff with me. Maybe you should rest for a minute, Senor. You're in no shape. I'm all right, I said. Thanks, Jack. You did good. I willed him to return to pendant form, then reattached the runestone to my neck chain. Jack was right about one thing. I needed rest. I felt like crawling inside that nice Lexus and taking a nap. But if the goat assassin decided to double back to the thinking cup, if he caught Sam unaware, I took off across the rooftop, hoping I wasn't too late. Chapter 3. My friends protect me by telling me absolutely nothing. Thanks, friends. Haha. Love it. Rooftops.
Yeah.
Back at the cafe, Sam was standing over Otis's body. Customers walked in and out of the thinking cup, making a wide arc around the dead goat. They didn't seem alarmed. Maybe they saw Otis as a passed out homeless guy. Some of my best friends were passed out homeless guys. I knew how well they could repel a crowd. Sam frowned at me. Under her left eye was a new orange bruise. Why is our informant dead? Long story, I said. Who hit you? Also a long story. Sam. She waved aside my concern. I'm fine. Just please tell me you didn't kill Otis just because he ate my scone. No, now, if he'd eaten my scone, what happened? I was still worried about Sam's eye, but I did my best to explain about the goat killer. Meanwhile, Otis's form began to dissolve, melting into curls of white vapor like dry ice. Soon there was nothing left but the trench coat, the glasses, the pork pie hat, and the axe that had killed him. Sam picked up the assassin's weapon. The blade was no longer than a smartphone, but the edge looked sharp. The dark metal was etched with soot black runes. Giant forged iron, Sam said. Enchanted, perfectly weighted. This is a valuable weapon to leave behind. That's nice. I'd hate for Otis to be killed with a shoddy weapon. Sam ignored me. She'd gotten pretty good at that. You say the killer wore a wolf helm, which narrows it down to half the baddies in the 9 world. I gestured at Otis's empty coat. Where did his body go? Otis, he'll be fine. Magic creatures from the mist of Ginnagap. When they die, their bodies eventually dissolve back into that mist. Otis should reform somewhere close to his master, hopefully in time for Thor to kill him again for dinner. To kill him for dinner. That struck me as a strange thing to hope for, but not any stranger than the morning I just had. Before my knees could buckle, I sipped my now cold coffee. The goat killer knew the hammer's missing, I said. He told me if we went to Provincetown, we'd be playing into our enemy's hand. You don't think he meant Loki? Sam sat across from me. She tossed the axe on the table. I'm sure he's involved in this somehow. He always is. I couldn't blame her for sounding bitter. Sam didn't like talking about the god of deceit and trickery. Aside from the fact he was evil, he was also her dad. You You heard from him recently, I asked. Just a few dreams. Sam rotated her coffee cup this way and that, like the dial of a safe. Whispers warnings. He's been mostly interested in. Never mind, nothing. That doesn't sound like nothing. Sam's gaze was intense and full of heat, like logs in a fireplace just before they ignite. My dad is trying to wreck my personal life, she said. That's nothing new. He wants to keep me distracted. My grandparents, Amar, her voice caught. It's nothing I can't handle. It doesn't have anything to do with our hammer problem. You sure? Her expression told me to back off. In time past, if I pressed her too far, she would slam me against a wall and put her arm across my throat. The fact that she hadn't yet choked me unconscious was a sign of our deepening friendship. Anyway, Sam said Loki couldn't be your goat killer. He couldn't wield an axe like that. Why not? I mean, I know he's technically chained up in Asgardian Supermax for murder or whatever, but he doesn't seem to have any problem showing up in my face whenever he feels like it. My father can project his image as or appear in a dream, Sam said, with extreme concentration for a limited time. He can even send out enough of his power to take on a physical form, like when he dated your mom. Sam again demonstrated her affection for me by not clubbing my brains out. We were having a friendship fest here at the Thinking Cup. Yes, she said. He can get around his imprisonment in those ways, but he can't manifest solidly enough to wield magic weapons. The gods made sure that when they put a spell on his binding, if he could pick up an enchanted blade, he could eventually free himself. I suppose that made sense in a nonsensical,
Nonsensical.
nonsensical Norse myth kind of way. I pictured Loki lying spread eagled in some cave, his hands and feet tied with bonds made from, I could hardly think about it, the intestines of his own murdered son. The gods had arranged that. They'd also supposedly set a snake over Loki's head to drip venom on his face for all eternity. Asgardian justice wasn't big on mercy. The goat killer could still be working for Loki, I said. He could be a giant. He could be. He could be anyone, Sam said. The way you describe him, how he fought and moved, he sounds like an Anharji, perhaps even a Valkyrie. My stomach dropped. I imagine it rolling. I imagine it rolling across the pavement and coming to rest next to Otis's pork pie hat. Somebody from Valhalla. Why would anyone? I don't know, Sam said. Whoever it is, he or she doesn't want us following this lead on Thor's hammer. But I don't see that we have any choice. We need to act quickly. Why the rush? I asked. The hammer's been missing for months. The giants haven't attacked yet. Something in Sam's eyes reminded me of Ran, the sea goddess's net. The way they swirled in the waves, stirring up down spirits. It wasn't a happy memory. Magnus, she said, events are accelerating. My last few missions in Jotunheim, the giants are restless. They've summoned huge glamours to hide whatever it is they're up to. But I'm pretty sure whole armies are on the move. They're preparing to invade. Invade where? The breeze made her hijab flutter across her face. Here, Magnus. And if they come to destroy Midgard, despite the warm sunlight, a chill settled over me. Sam had explained how Boston sat at the nexus of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Oh, it was the easiest place to pass between the 9 worlds. I imagined the shadows of giants falling over Newbury Street, the ground shaking under iron-shod boots the size of Panzer tanks. The only thing holding them back, Sam said, is their fear of Thor. That's been true for centuries. They won't launch a full-scale invasion unless they're absolutely sure he is vulnerable, but they're getting bolder. They're starting to expect the time might be right. Thor's only one god. Thor's only one god. I said, what about Odin or Tyr or my dad, Frey? Can't they fight giants? As soon as I said it, the idea sounded ridiculous. Odin was unpredictable. When he showed up, he was more interested in giving motivational PowerPoint presentations than fighting. I'd never even met Tyr. He's a god of bravery and personal combat. As for Frey, my dad was the god of summer and fertility. If you wanted flowers to bloom, crops to grow, or a paper cut to heal, he was your guy. Scaring away the hordes of Jotunheim, maybe not. We have to stop the invasion before it happens, Sam said, which means finding the hammer, Mjolnir.
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 Or actually, it's Mjolnir, I think.
Yeah, Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
You're sure, Otis said Provincetown. Yeah, a wit's barrow. That's bad. On a scale from 1 to 10, it's up there in the high 20s. We'll need Hearthstone and Blitzen. Despite the circumstances, the possibility of seeing my old buddies lifted my spirit. You know where they are. Sam hesitated. I know how to get in contact. They have been hiding in one of Mimir's safe houses. I tried to process that. Mimir, the disembodied god's head, who traded drinks from the well of knowledge for years of servitude, who had ordered Blitz and Hearth to keep an eye on me while I was homeless because I was important to the fate of the worlds, who ran an entire world Pacino racket. Pacino.
How is it spelled?
Pachinko. Pacino racket.
Pachinko.
Pachinko racket. And other shoddy enterprises. Mimir had a collection of safe houses. I wondered what he was charging my friends for rent. Why are Blitz and Hearthstone in hiding? I should let them explain, Sam said. They didn't want to worry you. That was so not funny, I laughed. They disappeared without a word because they didn't want to worry me? Look, Madness, you needed time to train, to settle into Valhalla and get used to your Enharji powers. Hearthstone and Blitzen just got a bad omen in the runes. They've been taking precautions, staying out of sight for this quest. Though, a bad omen, Sam. The assassin said I should be prepared to lose my friend. I know. She picked up her coffee. Her fingers trembled. Well, be careful, Magnus. But for a wit's tomb, rune magic, and underground skills could make all the difference.
How do you spell wit?
WH. Hold on. WIGHTS. That's a prophecy, yes.
Oh, a white.
Yeah, so the thing that I showed you that I put on as a document,
Mm-hmm.
it says a wit's is hold on, let me find it quickly. Where is it? Just somewhere. I can't find it right away.
That's all right, man. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to get the spelling.
No, it's fine. I'll look it up on the thing because I have it on my thing. Magic and underground skills could make all the difference. We'll need Hearth and Blitz. I'll contact them this afternoon. Then I promise I'll fill you in on everything. There's more. Suddenly I felt like I'd been sitting at the Thanksgiving kitty table for the past 6 weeks. I'd missed out on all the important conversations among the adults. I didn't like the kitty table. Sam, you don't need to protect me, I said. I'm already dead. I'm a freaking warrior of Odin who lives in Valhalla. Let me help. You will, she promised, but you needed training time. Magnus, when we went after the Sword of Summer, we got lucky. For what comes next, you'll need all your skill. The current of fear in her voice made me shiver. I hadn't considered us lucky. When we retrieved the Sword of Summer, we'd come close to dying multiple times. 3 of our comrades had sacrificed their lives. We'd barely managed to stop Fenris Wolf and a host of fire giants from ravaging the 9 worlds. If that was lucky, I did not want to see unlucky. Sam reached across the table. She took my cranberry orange scone and nibbled off the edge. The icing was the same color as her bruised eye. I should get back to school. I can't miss another AP physics class. This afternoon I have some fires to put out at home. I remembered what she'd said about Loki trying to mess up her personal life. In that little hitch, I doubt when she'd said Amir's name, anything I can help with. Maybe I can stop by Fadlan's falafel and talk to Amir. No, her cheeks flushed. No, thank you. But definitely not no. So that's a no then. Magnus, I know you mean well. There's a lot on my plate, but I can handle it. I'll see you tonight at the feast for her expression soured. You know, the newcomer. She meant the soul she had gone to reap. As the responsible Valkyrie, Sam would have to be there at the nightly feast to introduce the newest in Harji. I studied the bruise under her eye, and something dawned on me. This soul you picked up, I said, this new Harji punched you. Sam scowled. It's complicated. I'd met some violent in Harjar, but never one who would dare punch a Valkyrie. That was suicidal behavior, even for someone who was already dead. What kind of idiot? Wait, did that did this have anything to do with that wolf howl I heard from across the common? Sam's dark brown eyes smoldered, right on the edge of combustion. You'll hear about it tonight. She rose and picked up the assassin's axe. Now, go back to Valhalla. Tonight you'll have the pleasure of meeting, she paused, considering her words, my brother. Dun dun dun. Chapter
Oh.
4.
It was her
Chapter 4.
brother.
Yeah, it was a brother.
Whoa.
Yeah. Chapter 4. A cheetah runs me over. A cheetah runs me over. What time is it?
7:18.
7:18. Yeah.
So one more chapter?
I'm down for one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Sure.
Okay. Let me see how long it is. Okay, 5 is it's a little long, but we can probably make do. When
Cool.
choosing an afterlife, it's important to consider location. Suburban afterlives, as in Volkswagen and Niflheim, may offer lower cost of not living, but Valhalla's Midgard entrance is right in the heart of the city, on Beacon Street, across from the Boston Common. You'll be within easy walking distance of the best shops and restaurants in less than a minute from the Park Street tea station. Yes, Valhalla for all your Viking paradise needs. Okay, sorry, I told the hotel management I'd put in a plug, but I was pretty easy getting back home. Okay, wait a minute. Sorry. That did not make sense.
Nope.
And plus my nose is like, ugh. Oh. Okay. The Boston Common. You'll be within easy walking distance of the best shops and restaurants in less than a minute from the Park Street tea station. Yes, Valhalla for all your Viking paradise needs. Okay, sorry, I told the hotel management I'd put in a plug, but it was pretty easy getting back home. After buying a bag of chocolate-covered espresso beans at the coffee shop, I made my way through the public garden, passing my old camping spot under the footbridge. A couple of grizzled woo, bless
Oh.
you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
It's Quay. That's not part of the book.
The sneeze, it wasn't.
No.
I'm just kidding, Larry. You're good. Promise. Passing my old camping spot under the footbridge. A couple of grizzled dudes. Grizzled dudes sat in a nest of sleeping bags, sharing garbage bin leftovers with a little rat terrier. Hey guys, I handed them Otis's trench coat and hat, along with all the mortal money I had on me, about 24 bucks. Have a good day. The guys were too startled to respond. I kept walking, feeling like I had an axe sticking out of my sternum. Just because I'd been killed by a fire giant 2 months ago, I got to live in luxury. Meanwhile, these guys and their terrier ate from garbage bins. It wasn't fair. I wish I could round up every homeless person in Boston and say, hey, there's a big mansion right over here with thousands of comfy suits and free food forever. Follow me. But that wouldn't work. You couldn't bring mortals into Valhalla. You couldn't even die on purpose to get in. Your death had to be an unplanned, selfless act. And you had to hope there was a Valkyrie around to see it. Of course, that still made Valhalla better than the high-rise condos sprouting up all around downtown. Most of them were full of empty luxury apartments, 2 shiny 4th or 5th homes for billionaires. You didn't need a brave death to get in, just a lot of money. If the Giants did invade Boston, maybe I could convince them to do some strategic
Strategic.
strategic condo stomping. Finally, I reached the Midgard facade of the Hotel Valhalla. From the outside, it looked like an 80-story mansion of white and gray stone, just another piece of super expensive real estate in a row of colonial townhouses. The only difference, the hotel's front garden was completely enclosed by a 15-foot tall limestone wall with no entryway. The first of many defenses to keep Non and Harajar from trespassing. I jumped straight over and into the grove of glacier. A couple of Valkyries hovered in the branches of the white birch tree, collecting its 24-karat gold foliage. They waved to me, but I didn't stop to chat. I marched up the front steps and pushed open the heavy double doors. In the cathedral-sized lobby, the usual scene was going on. In front of the roaring fireplace, Teenage and Harajar hung out playing board games or just chillaxing, which is like chilling, except with battle axes. Other than Harajar and few fuzzy green hotel bathrobes chased each other around the rough-hewn pillars that lined the hall, playing hide and seek and kill. Their laughter echoed off the ceiling high above, where the rafters gleamed with the points of thousands of bundled spears. I glanced over at the reception desk, wondering if Sam's mysterious eye-punching brother might be checking in. The only person there was the manager, Helgi, glowering at his computer screen. One sleeve of his green suit had been ripped off. Chunks of his epic-sized beard had been pulled out. His hair looked even more like a dead buzzard than usual. "Don't go over there," warned a familiar voice. Hutting, the bellhop, sidled up next to me, his warty red face covered with fresh scratches. His beard, like Helgi's, looked like it had recently been caught in a chicken plucking machine. "Boss is in a foul mood," he said, "like beat you with a stick foul mood." "You don't look so happy yourself," I noted. "What happened?" Hutting's beard quivered with anger. "Our newest guest happened. Samara's brother." If you want to call him that. I don't know what Samara was thinking bringing that monster to Valhalla. Monster? I had a flashback to Axe. The half-troll Samara had once admitted to Valhalla. She'd gotten flack for that, too, though X had later turned out to be Odin in disguise. Long story. "You mean this newcomer is an actual monster like Fenris, or worse, if you ask me?" Hutting brushed a tuft of whiskers off his uniform name tag. "Cursed Arg nearly tore my face off when he saw his accommodation, not to mention the complete lack of proper tip." Bellhop, the manager shouted from the reception desk. "Stop fraternizing and get over here. You have dragon teeth to floss." I looked at Hutting. "He makes you floss the dragon's teeth?" Hutting sighed. Takes forever too. I gotta go." "Hey man," I handed him the bag of chocolate covered espresso beans I brought at the thinking cup. I bought at the Thinking Cup. Hang in there. The old Viking's eyes turned misty. Magnus Chase, you're a fine lad. I could hug you to death. Bellhop, Helgi shouted again. All right, hold your 8-legged horses. Hutting scurried toward the front desk, which spared me from a hug to the death. As low as I felt, at least I didn't have Hutting's job. The poor guy had reached Valhalla only to be forced into servitude by Helgi, his arch enemy from mortal life. I figured he deserved some chocolate now and then. Also, his friendship had already proven invaluable to me several times. Hutting knew his way around the hotel better than anybody, and he had all the juicy gossip. I headed for the elevators, wondering what an arger was and why Sam would bring one into Valhalla. Mostly, I wondered if I had time for lunch and a nap before this afternoon's battle. If it was important to be well fed and well rested when dying in combat. In the corridors, a few in Harjar gave me sidelong glances. Most ignored me. Sure, I'd retrieved the sword of summer and defeated Fenris Wolf, but the majority of my fellow warriors just saw me as the kid who'd gotten 3 Valkyries killed and almost started Ragnarok. The fact that I was a son of Frey, the Vanir summer god, didn't help. His offspring weren't usually found in Valhalla. I wasn't cool enough to hang with the popular crowd, the traditional war gods like Thor, Tyr, and Odin. Yes, Valhalla had cliques, just like high school. And while high school seemed to last for eternity, Valhalla actually did. The only in Harjar who truly accepted me were my hallmates on floor 19, and I was anxious to get back to them. In the elevator, the Viking easy listening music did not help my mood. Questions swam around in my brain. Who had killed Otis? Who had killed Otis? What had the goat wanted to warn me about? Who was Sam's brother? What were Blitz and Hearth hiding from? And who in their right mind would want to record Fly Me to the Moon in Old Norse? The elevator doors opened at floor 19. I stepped out and promptly got sideswiped by a large animal. It was moving so fast I only registered a blur of a tan and black before it turned a corner and was gone. Then I noticed holes in my sneakers where the animal had run over them. Tiny geysers of pin erupted from the tops of my feet. Ow, I said, belatedly. Stop that cheetah. Thomas Jefferson Jr. came charging down the corridor with his bayonet fixed. My other hallmates, Mallory Keene and Halfborn Gunderson, closed behind him. They stumbled to a stop in front of me, all three panting and sweating. Did you see it? TJ demanded. Where'd it go? I pointed to the right. Why do we have a cheetah? It wasn't our idea. Believe me, TJ shouldered his rifle as usual. He wore his blue Union Army uniform, his jacket unbuttoned over a green Hotel Valhalla t-shirt. Our new hallmate isn't happy to be here. New hallmate? I said. A cheetah? You mean the soul Sam brought in? A child of Loki. He's a shapeshifter. Among other things, said Halfborn Gunderson. Being a berserker, he had the physique of Sasquatch, and wore only hide breeches. Sasquatch and wore only hide breeches. Runic tattoos swirled across his massive chest. He branded his battle axe on the floor. I almost got my face smashed in by that mind spreader. As moving to Valhalla, I learned an impressive number of Old Norse cuss words. Menafutter translated as something like stink fart, which was naturally the worst kind of fart.
Nah.
Valerie sheathed her two knives, half pouring in your face, could use an occasional smashing. Her brogue got thicker. Whenever she was angry with her red hair and flesh cheeks, she could have passed for a small fire giant, except fire giants were not as intimidating. I'm more concerned about that demon destroying the hotel. Did you see what he did to X's room? He took over X's old room, I asked, and proceeded to tear it up. Mallory made a V with her fingers and flicked them under her chin in the direction of the cheetah had fled. Miss Keene was Irish, so her V did not mean to welcome him. Found the place in ruins, no respect. I remember my own first day in Valhalla. I had thrown a sofa across the living room and put my fist to the bathroom wall. Well, adjusting can be tough. TJ shook his head. Not like this. The kid tried to kill us on sight. Some of the stuff he said. First rate insult, Halfcorn conceded. I'll give him credit for that. But I've never seen one person do so much damage. Come, have a look, Magnus. See for yourself. They led me down to X's old room. I'd never been inside, but now the door was wide open. The interior looked like it had been redecorated by a Category 5 hurricane. Holy frig! I stepped over a pile of busted furniture into the foyer. The layout was a lot like my own suite. 4 square sections jutting out from a central atrium like a giant plus sign. The foyer had once been a setting area with a sofa, bookshelves, a TV, and a fireplace. Now it was a disaster zone. Only the fireplace was still intact. Engouge marks scattered and scarred the mantle as if our new neighbor had taken a broadsword to it. From what I could see, the bedroom kitchen had a bathroom wings. Bathroom wings had been similarly destroyed in a daze. I moved toward the arterium. Just like mine, it had a huge tree in the middle. The lowest branches spread across their apartment ceiling, interweaving with the rafters. The upper branches stretched into a cloudless blue sky. My feet sank into green grass. The breeze from above smelled like mountain laurel, a sort of grape Kool-Aid scent. I'd been in several of my friends' rooms, but none of them had an open air arterium. Was it like this for X? I asked. Mallory snorted. Hardly. X's arterium was a big pool, a natural hot spring. His place was always as hot, humid, and sulfurous as a troll's armpit. I miss X, Halfborn said. But yes, all this is completely new. Each sweep arranges itself to fit its owner's style. I wondered what it meant that my arterium was exactly like the newcomers. I didn't want to share styles with a murderous wildcat son of Loki who ran over people's feet. At the edge of the arterium lay another pile of wreckage. freestanding shelves had been overturned. The grass was littered with ceramic bowls and cups, some colorfully glazed over, others glazed, others unfired clay. I knelt and picked up the base of the broken flower pot. You think Cheetah Boy made all these? Yep, TJ gestured with his bayonet. There are a killing and a potter's wheel in the kitchen too. Good quality stuff, Halfborn said. The vase he threw at my face was beautiful and deadly, just like Miss Keen here. Mallory's face went from strawberry red to carbonaro orange. You're an idiot, which was her way of expressing affection for her boyfriend. I turned over the shard. On the base, the initials AF were etched in the clay. I did not want to speculate what they might stand for. Under the initials was a decorative stamp, two snakes curled in an elaborate S pattern, their tails looped around each other's heads. So I'm gonna show a picture of this. That's what it looks like. I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
if somebody is Sarah still
Wow.
here? Sarah M.
Tab
Yeah.
got kicked off.
It's like,
Sarah got kicked off.
or she just dropped off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. That's cool though, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My fingertips felt numb. I dropped the shard and picked up another broken pot. Same initials on the bottom, same serpentine stamp. It's a symbol of Loki, Halfborn offered. Flexibility, change, slipperiness. My ears buzzed. I'd seen this symbol before, recently in my own room. How do you know? Halfborn puffed out his already puffed out chest. As I've told you, I've spent my time well in Valhalla. I have a PhD in dramatic literature, which he only mentions several times a day, Mallory added. Hey guys, TJ called from the bedroom. He speared his bayonet into a pile of clothing and held up a dark green sleeveless silk dress. Posh, Mallory said. That's a Stella McCartney. Halfborn frowned. How can you be sure? I spent my time well in Valhalla. Mallory did a decent imitation of Halfborn's gruff voice. I have a PhD in fashion. Oh, shut up, woman, Halfborn muttered. And look at this. TJ held up a tuxedo jacket, also dark green with pink lapels. I'll admit, my brain was fuzzy. All I could think about was the symbol of Loki on the pottery and where I'd seen the snake design before. The whirlwind of clothes in this room didn't make sense to me. Jeans, skirts, jackets, ties, and party gowns, most in shades of pink and green. How many people live here? I asked. Does he have a sister? Halfborn snorted. TJ, should you explain or should I? Floom. The sound of Ram's horn echoed down the corridor. Lunchtime, TJ announced. We can talk then. My friends headed for the door. I remained crouched over the pile of pottery shards, staring at the initials AF and the entwined serpents. Magnus, TJ called. You coming? My appetite was gone. So was any desire to take a nap. Adrenaline screamed through my system like a high note on an electric guitar. You guys go ahead. My fingers curled around the broken pot with a symbol of Loki. There's something I need to check first. Dun dun dun. Chapter 5. my sword has a better social life than I do.
We'll have to do that next time.
Yeah.
It's,
Man, this was wild, man. This is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It's already gotten to a good point.
Yeah, he's just got to get the band back together. He's got to get Blitzen and Hearthstone back, you know,
Yeah.
figure out what this whole, you know, goat assassin dude is all about.
Yeah. Right.
The ghost guy was very interesting.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that was cool, man.
yeah, look, I think
yeah,
it
I
was,
wonder what it means. I wonder what Sam's sibling is.
Well, according to fan art, he looks like this.
What was that, Sage?
Shapeshifter.
Oh,
Yeah.
you might be right. I don't know. Well, of course it's a shapeshifter, but I don't know if it's he or she or if it's something else.
Yes. Deep discussions with a 4-year-old.
Right. This is
Well,
awesome.
This is gonna be an interesting book because it's got some interesting facts about the sibling of some.
And that alone made it my favorite book in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Awesome.
honestly, maybe it's someone who's trans.
Or transgender, you never know.
Yeah.
It's actually, you guys are pretty close. I think.
Well, Loki shifts gender, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does. I don't know if he's cisgender, but I know that he could if he wanted to. I think.
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
he Sam's mother?
Well, no,
Oh.
he married Sam's mother. Or
Oh, I misread
think-
that.
Yeah. It's
but
interesting.
maybe he was pregnant with Sam. I don't know.
I mean, Sam is cool
Well,
because
and
she didn't take on that trickster trait. She didn't want to be like her father, and so she fought to be.
Right. She didn't want to be
better.
like her mother. Right.
But the interesting thing about this brother coming on board is like, you know, I mean, obviously he died a heroic death, I guess, but does he have a little bit of that trickster in him? Who knows?
Right.
I
But
do like this though. It shows somebody did his fan art of the entire floor.
let's see it.
wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
There's
Wow.
Magnus Chase, the new guy who we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Jefferson Jr., Halfborn, Gunderson, and what's the girl's name? Mallory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valerie Keene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those are all the friends.
Jefferson Jr., that kind of looks like me a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we should get you like a Civil War outfit, dude.
dude, that
Maybe
would
Maybe
be
like John.
best.
Maybe like John driving that thing that he has.
I could dress up as Halfborn Gunderson, just like really grow out my hair, and
I was gonna say that would be a good way to like kick off the end of the series. Like everyone dress up as a character.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I totally think
Um,
they could make movies after these books. If they did one for, you know, the
Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson series.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Travis, all we have to do is get you a Civil War coat, just like John on your environmental services crew,
Oh yeah.
because he does
Yeah, well,
that. He does
what-
that. He does
this guy.
that. Huh?
Well, I'm looking like this
Yeah,
guy.
he does like a Confederate.
Well, the thing is,
The
there's a
war.
John that works at the hospital where we work, and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so he does like this. So he does fake Civil War stuff. So it's like it's pop shots, but it's not like real
Nice.
gunfire.
Mm.
There's real guns, but it's not like it's not real bullets.
Right. So he has like a bayonet that he collected.
Well, what he
Cool.
does is he does a Civil War thing where like you go on the field and all of a sudden there's like a war that they do.
So he does like a reenactment, and then if you're
Yeah, it's like
if you're
reenactment.
if you're
Yeah.
quote unquote shot, you have to like lay on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. So he does that a lot of times. He said, I talk to him all the time, so it's pretty cool. I like the guy.
Well, I'm gonna round this one off for tonight, guys. This was awesome.
Yep.
Our new book already has me interested and wondering what's next.
And thank you as always, Dennis.
Totally hooked.
Yes,
Yep.
well read, Dennis. You rallied through even with the
Mhm.
Dennis.
Thank you,
sniffles.
Dennis. And
Well,
John.
no, I don't know. It's just
you.
my nose is just acting weird.
Yeah, maybe you're allergic to words that are in weird Nordic words.
Silent J's.
Those silent J's that get you every time.
Yeah. No, it's just weird.
Well, all right, guys. Well, you all have a great night. Tomorrow is Friday, and we have science class
April showers tomorrow, right?
is April showers. Yep. And then we will be doing
Earth Day celebration tomorrow
an
night.
Earth Day celebration. Yeah.
Nice.
Even though
Okay.
technically Earth Day today, and I hope you all had a good time. We'll celebrate our love for our planet tomorrow in person on Friday Fun Night.
Nice.
So I hope to see you guys there. It should be a fun day.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well, everyone take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.